are children. But
Hey,
she already
bro, you know the crazy thing about it? This is her manager, bro. They'll be having these girls on like a 80-20 split. Manager gets 80% and the girl gets 20%. Bro, man, I wouldn't be surprised if they make a Surviving Doherty.
From using minors to promote their 18+ content to cosplaying as child-friendly characters while showing yourself in inappropriate ways. It's no secret that adult content creators are everywhere on the internet nowadays.
Okay, don't get me wrong, man. These Jezebels are horrible, right? Don't get it wrong. I am so tired of seeing every commentary channel edit their videos like this, bro. It is actually so annoying, man. Can we get some creativity in the verse? Like, oh, they do the same edits, the same background, the same pacing. Oh my gosh, bro.
You don't even have to search far. Under every Twitter post, there's an OnlyFriends girl promoting their pages. It isn't even limited to their community. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Black Ops 6 is only worth buying if you already like Call of Duty. If you don't like the formula or it's gotten old for you, you're exhausted with the same experience time and time again, I don't think this is new enough to get you back aboard the hype train. If you've already checked out, this isn't going to be the thing that gives you a new needle to get addicted to. It is, at its core, just kind of same shit, different toilet. I had a lot of hype for this game because I really enjoyed the beta. The Omni movement really felt fresh, like it breathed some new life into a pretty stale formula, at least for me. But now on full release, after playing like 7 hours worth of the multiplayer, it just feels the same. And I think it's because in the beta, everyone was spamming Omni movement because it was new and shiny and everyone wanted to play with that toy. Everyone trying out the new butt plug with Omni movement. And now the full game's out and you realize you don't really need to be spamming Omni movement. Like, it's a nice little bonus. Like, it does feel pretty fluid. Like, the movement does feel good. But it doesn't really change anything at all, really. It's like if I put little risers in my shoes to go from 5'6" to 5'7". Like, yeah, it is better, but no one's going to notice. Like, it makes such a trivial difference. And that's kind of how I feel about Omni movement. It's fun to like dive around corners like it's Max Payne 3, but it's still just the same Call of Duty, but with much worse maps in the multiplayer. I'll get to that in a moment. Let's just go ahead and go through the whole thing. I really like zombies. I want to get that up top. I am having so much fun with zombies, much more than I expected to. I haven't been into zombies to this degree in quite a while. Like, I was actually doing Easter eggs earlier today, which I haven't done in years. But let's just go campaign multiplayer and we'll finish with zombies. Campaign had a lot of glaze. Like, it got like 9 out of 10 from IGN or something. Not that anyone really takes IGN super seriously anymore, unless, of course, they're making fools of themselves by giving The Penguin a 5 or Transformers 1 a 5 or whatever. But they gave this a 9, so everyone's like, oh, this must be like a pretty crazy Call of Duty campaign. Not really. The first, I'd say 70% of the Call of Duty campaign is good. Like, it is one of the better Call of Duty campaigns. I don't think it's the best one, but it is good. I was having a great time with it. I thought they did a really nice job with the set pieces, the action. The story, of course, is nothing to write home about, but it's serviceable, and it was a good time. But the last 30%, like the last 2 hours of the game, is fucking miserable. It falls apart and it becomes just tedious chores for the sake of padding time and nonsense. Like, you go into a different dimension fighting an alternate version of yourself, and then you're strangling the life out of a cosmic being entity. It's so dumb. And it's close to being fun shitty. Like, it's so stupid that it almost wraps back around to being good if it wasn't so tiresome. Like, it slows down the pacing of the game to a crawl. It is glacial. So then you're having to, slowly go through these things, listen to the exposition, which by this point you don't really care about. You've definitely mentally checked out because it is just overstaying its welcome. And then you finally have this weird thing that's unfolding, and it's kind of cool how weird it is, but then you remember it took you like 30 minutes of just listening to yapping and like slowly opening doors and collecting little pieces of glass, and you just want it to be over. I think this is probably the longest Call of Duty campaign, and like I said, 70% of it is good, but the last 30% ruin everything that came before it. It is not a 9 out of 10. The campaign is mostly good. Like, I think it is more good than bad, but man, I cannot stress enough just how boring the last 30% was. I won't focus on the campaign too much. Instead, I want to put the screws to the multiplayer here, because I think that's the meat that everyone wants to know about. How is the beef? Is it well done? Is it rare? What are we looking like here? And I think the multiplayer is going to be good for people that already really like COD. I think it is a pretty fine-tuned, normal Call of Duty experience. The only part that I think most people will probably agree on, and they already kind of are, is that the map selection is trash. Jiminy Christmas, I don't know what went wrong with the maps. They got hit by the fucking stupid beam over there at the headquarters when designing these things. Some of them are just unforgivably big for no reason. Red Card. Red Card is the worst map in Call of Duty history. I'm just going to say it. Whoever brainstormed and spearheaded Red Card, we need to have a chat about maybe getting off the map design department there, because that is horrifyingly bad. There's like 3 different levels and elevations to it with like 1,000 little hidey holes to be just holding down and camping, and you will sit there for like 4 or 5 minutes and not see a soul because the map is so big, everything's so spread out. It's like you're basically playing RuneScape grinding agility when you're playing on Red Card. Like, you're just having a single player mind-numbing experience on that map. I hate it. And if you do find some action and you push into the other team's spawn and the spawn switch, they need to give you a vehicle to get to the other side, because it's going to take half the goddamn time allotted to the match just to go from one side to the other. Now, I know I'm exaggerating a bit, but the map is way too big. That is the point. It is way too big, everything way too, like, closed off. So it's not even, like, open and big. Like, this is a ground war sized map where you're not seeing anybody. Like, it's so lame. I won't harp on that too long, but there's a couple maps like that that are just way too big. So you don't get to do anything. It's super boring. I don't know why they made these huge maps that don't fit. And even when the maps aren't way too big, most of them are just unfun. Like, there's not a ton of 3-lane maps anymore. Like, I know they're trying to get away from that, and it shows, like, they definitely are trying to get away from that. But in doing so, what they end up making is just maps that are chaos for the sake of chaos, where everything has like 5 different wraps and like 5 different hidey hole angles that someone could be poking their little head out like a gopher. Like, the maps just really aren't fun. Like, I would prefer just more 3-lane maps. Like, I know it's generic, I know it's been overdone to death in the franchise, but at least it was fun. These, I just haven't been having a good time with. The only 2 maps that I've consistently enjoyed are Payback and Subsonic. I haven't heard anyone talk about Subsonic, but I've actually really enjoyed that map. I don't even think it's that good of a map, like, objectively speaking, but it's like the only map where I'm getting action constantly and it doesn't feel like I'm getting shot from fucking, you know, the upside down where I had no idea you could even get to. It's just a fine map. And Payback, I actually think, is a good map. I have liked Payback quite a bit. I think that's probably the strongest here. I know a lot of people like Vorkuta, and Vorkuta's fine. Like, I think that's another, like, serviceable map, but I'm not going, you know, ballistic over it. I'm not pumping my fist like, yeah, this is the fucking gold standard for Black Ops 6 maps. It's okay. For me, Payback is my favorite map. That is the worst part of the multiplayer, is how bad the maps are. Other than that, everything else is fine, even good in certain degrees. Like, I do think the movement feels very fluid. I think that is a nice thing, but it doesn't feel different from other Call of Duties. It just feels like they've got the movement pretty fine-tuned by this point into the franchise. The guns feel good. Really, all of it feels good. Pretty much exactly what you expect from Call of Duty if you've played any of the previous titles. It is the exact same meal that you are getting served again. And for a lot of people, that's going to be that nice comfort food, and for others, it's just going to be pretty bland. For me, I'm somewhere in between. Like, I'm having some fun just playing through. I'm not grinding camos or anything, but hopping on and just banging out a couple of games, dropping like a fat, stinky 30 or 40 bomb before skill-based matchmaking claps my cheeks biblically has been enjoyable. Like, I am not having a terrible time with it, but it really is just the same Call of Duty again. but with movement that I think feels more fluid than last year's title. I do want to mention skill-based matchmaking since I briefly brought it up. A lot of people are talking about it for good reason. It is harsh. The skill-based matchmaking in this is harsh. If you have one good game, I hope you're ready to get to the fucking esports challenger circuit here, because your next game is going to have the sweatiest, striving pros you have ever played against. Like, God forbid you have one game where you pop off, the next game, you are getting slapped. You are getting put into timeout, mister, and you're going to be wearing the dunce cap because skill-based matchmaking doesn't want to see you thrive, soldier. Definitely think they set the dial to wumbo on that, and it's kind of unnecessary. I've always been pretty vocal about my belief that Halo 2 had this whole skill-based matchmaking thing solved 20 fucking years ago. You have ranked playlists, where you're playing against people of similar skill because it's ranked, and then you have casual, where anything goes. You could be playing against a 9-year-old who just got the game for Christmas and it's his first time holding the controller, or you could be going up against Eric, who's trying his best to make it in the collegiate Call of Duty esports scene. You never really know. I truly don't think everything needs to be skill-based matchmaking. I just think you could divide it into categories like Halo 2 did all those years ago. I get the philosophy behind it, where you try and cater to every possible player, where if you do queue up casual and you play against pros and you're that 9-year-old who's never played a game before, it might make you leave the game because you got stomped so hard. Yeah, I'm sure that's definitely possible, and I'm sure there's data to back it up, but I still just think trust the intelligence of the players. Like, if you want to be playing against people of similar skill, you would go to ranked, where you would be playing against people of similar skill, and if you just want, like, anything goes, you play casual. So if you're the 9-year-old who's never played a game before and you go to casual and you're getting stomped, go to ranked and you'll play against people that are equally as shit. Like, I think everything would balance out just like it did 20 years ago. I think it's just unnecessary to make everything skill-based matchmaking, but I know that's the norm now. I'm not here to just like harp on that for too long, but I did want to mention it because it does feel pretty extreme in Black Ops 6. But like I said, overall, multiplayer is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. I got the exact same Call of Duty experience, more or less. I do think it's a better version. It's just not a different version or anything. Not that I think anyone expected it to be like drastically different, but I really thought it would feel different to play. Instead, it just feels like the same Call of Duty, but just a little more responsive. I like the TTK, hate the maps, but overall, I've been having some fun with the multiplayer, and I think if you like Call of Duty, you'll probably really enjoy it. If you don't like Call of Duty, I don't think it's winning you over. Do want to talk about zombies now, though, because there is a lot of people that buy these games just for zombies. I think you might be in for a treat here. I'm not, the preeminent expert on zombies. I love World at War Zombies. I grinded the shit out of World at War Zombies, a bit into Black Ops, and I know Black Ops 2 and 3, like, people love and revere the zombies there. I didn't spend too much time playing those, if I'm being completely honest. I do appreciate them, but I didn't spend a ton of time in there. In Black Ops 6, though, I'm really liking it. I'm really, really liking it. So you have Liberty Falls and you have Terminus. Liberty Falls is definitely the easier of the two. It's pretty simple. Like, everything's pretty straightforward there. Like, that's the zombies experience that I remember from World at War, except World at War was much harder. It's pretty easy in Liberty Falls, and it's really fun. Tons of zombies, tons of guns, tons of Easter eggs. You know what to expect there. Liberty Falls, I think, is a good map for people that have never played it before, and even if you've played zombies before, I think you'll still have fun with Liberty Falls. There's a lot to do. And Terminus is where you go when you're ready to become a man. Terminus is definitely the more difficult of the two here, and I really like it a lot. It is so fucking fun. I was trying to do Kraken earlier. I don't want to get into spoilers, I think a lot of the fun for Easter eggs is trying to figure it out with your friends, and I think people are going to have a really good time with it. And Terminus just offers a lot. I don't even know really how to talk about zombies, because if you're into zombies, you already know a ton about it. I'm just here to tell you that I think they did a good job with zombies in this one. I do think they kind of crushed it here. I think they were cooking. Overall, though, is Black Ops 6 worth buying? It is if you already like Call of Duty, and it is if you really like zombies. I don't think if you're tired of Call of Duty, you're going to like this one. I think it is just the same Call of Duty. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It really just feels the exact same, just with fluid, pretty tight movement, and everything feels pretty fine-tuned, except with horrible maps to accompany them. So I don't think this wins you over if you're tired of the Call of Duty formula. I think this is just a good Call of Duty for zombies, and good if you just want that comfort of playing another Call of Duty game. So if you don't fall into any of those camps, a zombies fan or a Call of Duty fan, probably not going to like this one. I don't think it's worth buying if you're just playing it for the campaign. I don't know how many people buy Call of Duty just for the campaign, but I definitely don't think it is worth buying if you're only playing it for the story. You're going to be disappointed, I think. And yeah, that's really about it. See ya.
I just realized either Max a full-on
I sprinkled some baking soda on our laundry and they came out smelling way more fresh. Join me in the sustainable swap.
Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and do you guys like to drink expired milk? Do you guys like to eat chicken that is moldy? Do you guys like to consume food that has visibly gone bad? If the answer to that is yes, then God help you surviving past the age of whatever you are. But I want to think that most of the audience watching this video probably are smart enough to not do that, okay? You know, I made plenty of videos. Like, I remember one video specifically from deep web browsing. I think I looked at like a meat market where it was just filled with moldy meat, okay? I'm trying not to I looked at like a meat market where it was just filled with in Lunchly. The reason I'm making this video is a couple days ago I made a video where I played a video game about Mr. Beast Lunchlies, and briefly inside that video I talked about there being mold in Lunchly products. And I was probably going to leave it at that until I actually dove more into the situation and found that it's not just one screenshot of mold. It seems to be a pretty massive, epidemic currently. Now, to give you guys an understanding about all this, the Lunchly stuff I briefly touched when we were looking at the whole Mr. Beast stuff that was kind of blowing up about a month ago. And initially at the time, I didn't really care about it. It was just another YouTube product that, somebody would make. I never was one to go out and eat a Mr. Beast burger. I never was one to go out and eat a Mr. Beast chocolate bar. I ate it once, but, it was okay. It was fine. It was whatever. It was candy, all right? It's chocolate. I can't complain, all right? But again, Lunchables was something where, they were competing against, which was like the other competitor product. So Lunchly is this product they made, which is supposed to be a direct competitor. Like, it's one of those prepackaged slop lunch products that kids take with them to schools, right? So sometimes you can make like a little pizza. You can eat like a turkey cracker stacker. And I think the other one is like nachos. And I shit you not, and they're in their advertising, it was like, yeah, we got less calories. We got a whole bunch of those electrolytes. And, if you buy a Lunchable, those are mid moments. If you buy a Lunchly, though, those are big gestures. Now, clearly they were advertising this to children. And when criticized, even Mr. Beast was like, listen, Lunchable sells hundreds of millions of units and countless people eat it. Our goal is to give people a better alternative to it. Our turkey meal is 80 less calories, 60% less sugars, more of those, oh fuck, electrolytes. And we use real cheese. So I really think this section is one that I want you to remember, okay? Obviously. So immediately right over here, after the Lunchly products came out, there was some people who came up and brought up the fact that there was some mold. So it's really not that difficult to find it. Like if you go onto like TikTok, you can probably find like a few people who actually have like mold in their in their like Lunchlies. So there's one account just literally ooh. If you look very carefully at the cheese compartment of this Lunchly, it's got some mold in it. Now, of course, in this video, that package is open, so I'm not going to confirm if this mold wasn't added afterwards. But yeah, they've got the pizza, they got the sauce, they got the pepperoni, and they got that moldy cheese. Now, before somebody goes into the comment section of this video and goes, but Muta, cheese is mold, you dummy. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, there is mold in cheeses, okay? Cheeses that specifically are designed to be moldy. You know, I love something known as blue cheese, okay? Now, blue cheese is a cheese that is made with cultures of the mold penicillium, okay? And I think it's like some cases penicillium Roquefort, if you're going for like the really expensive, like super Stilton, only made in the United Kingdom. Blue cheese. So even in this situation, it is produced in a specific way to have edible mold inside it. Now, if your regular off-the-mill product like cheddar and mozzarella cheese have mold in it, that's not good, okay? So according to Healthline, molds that carry harmful bacteria such as E. coli, Listeria, Salmonella, and Brucella, all of which can cause food poisoning. The symptoms of food poisoning include vomiting, stomach pain, and diarrhea. Upsets, that's Pepto-Bismol. In severe cases, it may lead to death, okay? So not to laugh about this or anything, but like, yeah, a moldy, like, if you have harmful mold on your cheese, probably shouldn't be eating it. So again, I started this video off by asking the audience, do you consume this product? Because I think my audience are mostly like young adults or adults, you know, children as well too, but older children. But the people that are buying these Lunchly products and consuming them, you know, parents buy this for their kids go to school for a big gesture while all the other kids are having mid-moments, and you know, little Tommy here opens up his Lunchly and goes, oh shit, there's a little bit of blue stuff in my cheese. Now, hopefully Tommy's smart enough to know, oh, I shouldn't be eating that. But let's say Tommy consumes it. Well, you might actually put Tommy into a pretty serious medical situation, you know, all because you didn't actually make your product the proper way. And that's something I think worth discussing and calling out. You know, I don't really care if an influencer does something really, really stupid, but you know, when you're financially like defrauding your audience or you're putting their lives at actual danger, which I think you can do if you're not watching your food production properly. So the person that kind of raised this up into attention was a YouTuber named as Rosanna Pansino. Now, to give you context, Rosanna Pansino and Mr. Beast have not seen eye to eye since one game of hide and seek. And you know, when you say things out loud sometimes, your brain just breaks. Now, what's even wilder about this situation is Rosanna Pansino is like literally the nicest baker lady on YouTube. Like, her general content is just, you know, making homemade gourmet Pop-Tarts and Oreos. I mean, this would be the last person that I would expect to upload Mr. Beast is a criminal leaked video. I mean, even as 21 hours ago, she apparently like leaked out 1,000 messages from the work Discord or work Slack at the Mr. Beast Studios, and it gets really dark here. Like, what's even wilder is like she leaks out this one image, and I have to totally blur this on top of the blur she put in, where apparently like even Chris Tyson, Ava Tyson, whatever, she decided to just post a apparent modeling photo of Ivanka Trump when she was like 13 years of age. Which again, it's like, bro, what is this timeline that I'm witnessing, dude? The baker lady is coming out with the most insane shit. And of course, obviously, you know, it also comes back to her, you know, time getting screwed out of a hide and seek challenge that Mr. Beast hosted as well, which is no joke if you care about competitive integrity. But yeah, she was part of some hide and seek competition, and genuinely, she was, from what I understand in her statement, she was kind of like gypped out of like winning or getting some prestige out of it, which is, you know, depending on how seriously you take contests, which I think people should, you know, she kind of has a case. But anyway, she was the one that brought this awareness, and she, like, you know, she's getting her food ready, and she talks about the actual cheese here. So inside her video alone, she shows this Lunchly product with her. There's no way she has the brass gold fork. Stop it. She's got a case of the serious mold growing, okay? Now, I don't know if Mr. Beast has been, like, you know, working with the Dulvey, Louisiana house from Resident Evil 7, the fucking molded and shit, all right? But this is not okay. Like, in any capacity, we all can agree this is not, like, an actual thing that should have existed. And it's interesting because according to everything else that I've seen, you know, the actual bread here is fine. I'm sure the chocolate is gonna be fine. I'm sure the sauce is fine. The pepperoni looks okay, but that cheese is not safe for human consumption, I would say personally. Now, mind you, I'm not a food and drug expert. Now, to go back to Mr. Beast initially talking about it, bro, we're just making a healthy alternative. And I would say that, you know, you might have less calories, but I think Lunchables, from what I've seen, has less mold overall, okay? So I really think this comes down to the cheese that they actually use. You know, one of the things that Rosanna even mentioned in her video was, like, apparently the sealant was a little bit questionable. So it really is, to me, something where, like, at least at some point in the manufacturing process, there might have been a way that these products were sealed where maybe there was a lot more oxygen going into the cheese. Now, again, this is where I get into a little bit of speculation because I'm not a food scientist, but I've been around family that stores food. I've stored food myself. When you're storing cheese or you're storing anything that spoils in this fashion, you're probably putting it in airtight bags, you're vacuum sealing it, so there's not a whole lot of oxygen to food interaction, okay? Because generally when you have the oxygen present, that's when you start to see some really gross stuff occurring, right? And that might have been something that happened with this cheese. You know, cheese is a very, very, very delicate thing to be playing around with, especially anything in dairy. So again, this is probably something that Caleb would probably be more talking about, but yeah, this is a pretty big issue that was spotted. Now, normally it would be one thing if just this person found mold, right? But like that TikTok I showed you in the beginning, there were other people that literally had that mold in their food. In fact, literally, like, I think a day ago, another streamer, like one streamer ended up actually finding a goddamn moldy piece of food in their Lunchly. So I gotta, like, kind of go a little forward into it, but that is a sealed box, and if you look very carefully at it, those blue specks, that's just goddamn, that's just more mold, bro. It's just molded cheese. It's insanity that this exists. So again, this is from, like, one creator who is like, I need to find the truth of the matter, and I really appreciate it when people actually do their own research. I'm a huge champion of it. It's what I've been taught ever since I was a kid, especially in school by my parents. If you really think that there is something wrong, seek out the actual information for yourself. Try to confirm it. Now, I would try to confirm the Lunchly stuff myself, but I'm not driving all the way to Buffalo, like an hour and a half away, like across the goddamn border, you know, just to get a Lunchly. It's not available in Canada, which makes, you know, finding this a little bit more difficult. Now, given the fact that there's potentially like an actual mold outbreak, it seems, I don't actually think that this might be a situation where, like, the Canadian government even would, like, get it in. I think we're a bit more restrictive when it comes to, like, food stuff in the country. Now, for extra context in the situation, for this person also ended up buying, like, 22 packs of Lunchly, okay? And apparently on the 22nd pack, they found it. So it's not like a situation that exists in, like, every single product of Lunchly out there. But it's, I think, serious enough to be worth discussing. And the thing about, like, these influencer products is when you have one bad instance, it can blow up into a pretty serious situation. Now, I think because this product is targeted to kids, you know, even like a couple instances of mold is bad, and it should probably be addressed in a mature manner. Not something that I expect from Logan Paul, KSI, or Mr. Beast in any capacity. These three horsemen of the apocalypse on YouTube are effectively going to ignore this kind of stuff until they really can't. And what I find kind of disgusting is like them literally calling like Rosanna and like people calling them out to, basically discrediting them on the internet. So apparently, according to somebody who works near this Lunchly shit, is they even went out and kind of like started to throw out a bit of the discreditation. So according to a source familiar with the product, and this is according to like Newsweek, consider the context and the source. Now again, if there's actual shit in your product, I don't really care who's reporting on it, okay? Honest to God, even the most like bad faith person could report on it, but if it does appear to be a product which shows unedited from opening the actual like sealed product that you contain mold, you gotta actually take care of this pretty seriously, because if children are buying this, and that's most of the people eating it, I don't think there's any fucking adult that I know, aside from like YouTubers for content, are actually eating Lunchlies, okay? It's mostly just children, and those are usually the ones where you gotta kind of watch out a little bit more for, okay? Like, I'm sorry to say, if your mozzarella cheese looks like this, you gotta jump in and actually address this, at least in a mature manner. Now, again, one of the things that I kind of want to, I'm not running defense for anybody here, but to give you guys context and to like give a little bit of charitability here, I actually wouldn't entirely put the blame on just the influencers right over here. Remember, when you're doing food production, there's a whole massive process involved. There's manufacturing, there's logistics, and then there's the discussions you have with the people distributing your food, right? Like, people, like Kmart, Walmart, Target, the actual distribution. So depending on like where the mistake is, maybe it wasn't even stored properly. Maybe they gave instructions to any of these organizations. Maybe they didn't store it. You gotta have to look at where these products came from, where you bought them from. And then of course, maybe somewhere in the manufacturing, they might have actually made a mistake in the sealant, and that caused an issue with that cheese, causing it to go moldy, okay? This is probably something that I would say is very much out of the control, right? At least from a manufacturing perspective of the influencers. That also being said, when you're an influencer and you put your face on something, you really should try to make what you're doing the highest of quality, okay? Because any problem that people will find gets exacerbated by like 100% on the internet, like 100 times. Now, this is something that I probably can see them fixing up. This might have even been like growing pains of starting a new company, but it just shouldn't have happened, especially with a product where like children are involved. So the other thing that I found that was really goofy was like this image, where like literally at like one store, apparently there was a sign that says, "Due to public health concerns, the FDA has recalled Lunchly products. We will restock as soon as deemed fit for consumption and shipped through our warehouse." Now, immediately when I see this, I think to myself, probably is fake, all right? I don't think any of this is real, because what you should do in any of these situations, you should go to the fda.gov/safety/recall market withdrawal safety alert. And this is an entire list where you, the viewer, can view if your specific product that you enjoy has been recalled by the FDA. So you can see actual products literally recalled. Sprouts, you got Trail Bologna, okay? Medtronic, multiple brand Dakota Toms, and they'll tell you exactly why things were recalled, like, potential or undeclared allergens, potential foodborne illnesses. Like, there are some serious issues that got brought up. So if you go to the search field and you type in like Lunchly, all right, for instance, or just type in lunch, actually not, that's a pretty broad term. You'll probably notice that there's nothing available on here, which means that there's probably a good reason that the FDA hasn't jumped into it. Probably not that they're not investigating it. I'm sure that there's been enough alerts raised for them to look at this product and consider maybe it's worth recalling until you guys get something fixed up. In all honesty, all of this stuff really reminds me of the pink sauce stuff. Remember like about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, I talked about the pink sauce like story on TikTok where like one enterprising like chef by the name of Chef Pie, who lives in like Florida, decided they're gonna get into the game of making like a sauce. And they made this like really like pink Pepto-Bismol sauce, which, people started sharing around on TikTok, and that's where it got popular. And when people started to order it from the internet, they got like multiple batches that just weren't consistent. Sometimes some batches would be a little bit more congealed. Sometimes you would get like half the sauce you should have. Sometimes it wasn't sealed properly. There would just be issues. Now, anyways, long story short, right? People brought up this issue to her, and she showcased her like production facility, which appeared to be like a storage unit or like some garage. And when asked about the FDA, she literally had this to say.
They approve What do you mean FDA approved? I don't sell medical products. The pink sauce is not a medical product. The pink sauce don't contribute to your health. I never said that.
Now, this shows you the level of education that is currently happening in the state of fucking Florida when somebody doesn't understand what the F in FDA means, okay? The FDA oversees food and drugs. So yeah, when you're producing food, you should probably be very careful because the kind of sauce that she was producing could have potentially caused botulism in people, from my understanding, and it just wouldn't have been a good situation. It's lucky and it's good that her food didn't kill anybody. And, you know, later on she was involved with like Dave's Gourmet, which again didn't peter out because some people just don't know how to operate businesses. And, you know, where she's at right now is actually on, GoFundMe, asking for donations to get justice for the pink sauce. So far, $25,000 have been donated out of a $100,000 goal, okay? Sometimes you wonder why life is unfair, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, my name is Veronica Shaw. I'm the founder of Pink Sauce LLC, one of the most viral sauce sensations of 2022. A young entrepreneur with big dreams. I followed my intuition and went forward with my dreams to create something new. And I made a few mistakes on the way. Dog, ain't no way we can talk about it like that. Get out of here. Now, obviously, the situation is kind of sad because, you know, people who want to be enterprising entrepreneurs screwed up their bag. And, ultimately, it puts, they open themselves up to liability and everything, too. But when it comes to food like this, you got to be really careful, right? What I've seen with, like, Lunchly, nowhere near this travesty, by the way, but the mold is bad enough to consider talking about and worth, looking in and reassessing. Especially because, like I said, that Lunchly product is marketed towards children, first and foremost, right? Like, it's meant to be like a child lunch slop replacement. And if look, tons of people buy prepackaged, to process slop for their children for lunch all the time. Now, I'm lucky enough, when I grew up, my mom, she gave us bologna sandwiches, jelly sandwiches. She made us like a lunch or something, right? Like, I never really ended up getting like a Lunchable. I saw the other kids have one, thought it was kind of thought it was cool, but mom never really ended up getting some of that stuff for us. There wasn't really a big reason for it. I think she just made sandwiches really quickly, and that's what we got, right? But when it comes to parents, right, when you buy your children this kind of stuff, I think parents should probably look at this food, open these packages up and see, before they give it to their kid, does it have mold in it? And I think for Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, and KSI, for all the issues that I have with, specifically somebody like Logan Paul, I'm sure that he's not degenerate enough to be willing to distribute this product and not have a care in the world about the mold. But I think in this one instance, I would have like infinitely more respect for him alone if he decided to just come out and say, yeah, this is a really fucked up launch of a product. Like, we shouldn't have had this mistake. This is a mistake. You see how badly it's affected you. See how many packages are out in the wild. You do a little recall, even at your own dime, and make sure that whatever's in your manufacturing process doesn't repeat this issue again. Because, like, at the end of the day, this isn't like a controversy. This isn't like, meaningless, pointless drama or anything. At the end of the day, like, this can seriously put somebody's life in danger. This can seriously harm somebody. Okay, this isn't like goofy, haha, funny stuff. This is something that needs to be properly addressed and taken care of. But, at the end of the day, it really comes down to the influencers, and if they don't care, I'm sure the FDA probably cares, and I'm sure that there's going to be some level of government scrutiny that looks into it. And I'm not even going to get into the fact that this alone, this bad reputation, hurts every other influencer who actually wants to make a food product for their audience, right? Look, I think if you're making anything for your audience, especially a children's audience, you need to provide that extra level of care. Clearly, I don't think that exists to the level it should here, and it's something worth talking about. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow
Guys, I say this with no exaggeration. This has to be the most unfun Call of Duty game I have ever played. I was optimistic. I've been trying to be optimistic, and I want you to believe me when I say that. I really have been trying to be optimistic as I can possibly be, because this is a game on the surface that is good feature-wise. This is the game I have wanted for a while, 6 years now, pretty much. Prestige mode is back. We have round-based zombies. We have prestige rewards. We can earn stuff without spending our life savings in the goddamn fucking store. That's all good news. I like the movement system. It's still a little janky, like I said. It feels a little slippery, like I said, but I like it okay. I like the gunplay. I think the gun feel in this game is pretty solid. That is literally where my praises end. I sat down today and tried to play this game solo. It's unplayable. It is literally unplayable. The SBMM, if you play solo, it's impossible. You are essentially not in control of anything. The amount of times I joined a match on a losing team to a cock stomp of just like people in a party on the other team. I mean, guys, here's the thing, man. It takes me a bit to get pretty good at the new Call of Duty every time it comes out. There's always new mechanics, there's muscle memory. My aim especially, I need time to get the muscle memory down to kind of perfect that. I don't play Call of Duty constantly throughout the year, and this game feels different, pretty different from other Call of Duties anyway. And then I got to unlock stuff through the prestige. It takes me about a prestige to get good, like to get really good at the game. So like I've been playing X Defiant, so my muscle memory is there. You know, I actually hopped on X Defiant just to make sure I'm not being gaslit by COD. Like, no, I'm still fucking good at FPS. This game though, I need time to acclimate. There is no time to acclimate though, especially playing solo. There's not even fucking time to spawn in this game, let alone acclimate. It's taking everything I've done, every time I've gotten good at a Call of Duty the past several years, it's taking all that info, keeping that info in its fucking memory banks, and then using that to drill me in the asshole with skill-based matchmaking in this particular game. The only way to enjoy this game, and I'm serious, if you aim to be even remotely good at it, if you aim to actually improve at this game, the only way to play it is with a VPN. And I use this for this particular gameplay. This is like the only way I could somewhat enjoy myself on this game. I used SBMM off. And honestly, this isn't even me trying to sell you something. This is today's sponsor. But I would say if you are like me, this is a necessity. If you actually plan on playing Black Ops 6 or the new Warzone, whatever, you need to do this. Like, this is non-negotiable. You need this VPN. I'm just going to explain how it works from the website here. SBMM off confuses the skill-based matchmaking system by routing only your matchmaking data over our global VPN servers. When using SBMM off VPN, you play on local servers but get thrown into a more connection-based lobby instead of purely skill-based matchmaking-oriented lobbies. So SBMM off is a one-time payment of $47.77. Pay once, access it for life, no subscription, and I have a discount code which I will give you in just a second, or you can check the pinned comment. SBMM off only works for PC, but you can invite your console buddies into your lobby and they can get the benefits as well. It has over 100 server locations, strict NAT and open NAT servers, so you can customize everything. I'm not even kidding you. Black Ops 6 is miserable without this. It is completely miserable. So thank you to SBMM off for sponsoring this video. Use code BLAMETRUTH at checkouts, or just use my affiliate link. Click that. It should auto apply for the discount code to get $4 off. This is like the only way I can play this game. I'm going to try my hardest to grind through this garbage for you guys. At least one prestige. I make that a rule every single year. I try to play through one prestige at least, and then I give my final verdict. We need to talk about skill-based matchmaking, engagement optimized matchmaking, what have you. So this has to be the absolute worst it has ever been. It's only amplified by the maps and the spawns and the fact that this is the shooter equivalent to Candy Crush. There is no real strategy, especially as a solo player. I have no actual way to like form a strategy. There are no flanks in most of these maps. The spawn system, even on the medium-sized maps, it's trash, so it may as well play like a smaller map. There may as well be like 3 maps in the game. Skyline, Payback, the shitty, bad, small map, and then like Nuketown. That's literally all you need, because that's every map. Every map plays pretty much the exact same in this. Combine that with skill-based matchmaking, you have essentially the same fucking experience. Every single match. I talked about, before this game came out, I talked to a trusted leaker who said they were doubling down on the skill-based matchmaking system. And not only are they doubling down on it, they don't care what XDefiant's doing by not putting it in or whatever. Not only are they doubling down on it, they are making it more strict than ever, because like this game, mechanically speaking, from a shooter perspective, from a moving and shooting perspective, there is a little bit of a skill gap there. Aim assist feels a bit weaker, although I would argue that the TTK feels really inconsistent, and I would also argue that the aim assist is a bit wonky sometimes. It feels like my shot, like it feels like a magnet's pushing my aim away. It's that classic Treyarch aim resist. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get back to the meat and potatoes here. Before this game came out, I was told by a trusted leaker that skill-based matchmaking would be doubled down on, ramped up, what have you. After I made my video yesterday titled, The Maps Were Made Bad by Treyarch on Purpose, I actually talked to him again. And he informed me, dropped this kind of bombshell on me, and I can't reveal who this is, so this is a trust me bro thing, but just tell me if it makes sense. He revealed that the maps were made like this on purpose because of, wait for it, oh, the data. You see, he told me that this is part of the skill-based matchmaking ramping up. I am not kidding, by the way. These maps were made like this based on the data of people loving Shipment, because Shipment is a skill-equalized camo grinding simulator. The data literally led to the entire map pool in this game being absolute fucking shit. And it wouldn't surprise me if the spawn system is a part of this SBMM algorithm as well. I mean, it's so bad. I do not want to top frag intentionally. So I'm not playing the objective. I simply do not give a fuck. I mainly just want to level my gun. Like, that's all I want to do, dude. I'm level like 8 or 9 or something. I just want to level my gun. The fact that it's day 3 and I'm matching against people that are level 50 or in some cases prestige 1 already, like, just stop. Just fucking stop, man. I'm not sure if you guys watched Nero's video about him just like starting a new account, father of 4 or whatever, and he's just kind of walking around and people just can't shoot him. Like, you know, he's in this like, not even a protected bracket, mind you, just a middle of the road bracket. I don't think you guys realize like that bell curve, how different that the top of that bell curve is to, you know, the good players, like the top 10% or whatever. In Cold War, in Black Ops Cold War, I try-harded my ass off to get to a point where I was like top 1% KD in the world or whatever. Only played TDM solo, top 1% KD in the world. I don't know why I did that, because the game was miserable. Now, though, I can't even get acclimated. I don't even want to try to improve, because the skill-based matchmaking system, the EOMM, engagement optimized matchmaking, whatever you want to call it, is so insanely fucking strict in this, combined with the maps. It's a nightmare. It is a literal nightmare. I say this with no hyperbole. As it stands right now, after my session today on the game, this has to be the worst fucking Call of Duty I've ever played. And I've said that a few times over the years. I said that when Vanguard came out. But Vanguard, at the very least, I played it, and I kind of had fun with Blitz mode. Like, there's always, like, this one thing I kind of like in a Call of Duty game, even when the game is awful. So I played Vanguard, and I mean, if you want to argue that's still the worst one of all time, go right ahead. That game was made in 9 months. You would not be wrong, really, with that opinion. But, like, that game had Blitz mode, and it had, like, big map battle or whatever it was, and you could set it to, like, 16v16 or whatever it was. And that was kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like, that was a little fun, and the SBMM seemed to be toned down in that because there's so many players and it wants to match players faster. So that was like an oasis in a desert in that game. MW2, again, arguably the worst Call of Duty of all time. I thought when that came out, it was even worse than Vanguard. However, they gave us a silver lining in Shoot House. When that map came out, I actually played a good amount of Shoot House. I skipped MW 2019. I did not like that game at all. So when Shoot House came out in MW2, it was like new and fresh for me, oddly enough. And I played it a lot, and I'm like, wow, this is actually a great map. It's not a small, like, you know, meat grinder map, but it's a medium, small, it's just a good map. If you've played Shoot House, you know. So I had a little bit of fun with that. In this particular game, I cannot lie to you right now. I have a few hours on the game, in the game's multiplayer. I find literally nothing fun. Even zombies is kind of boring me, honestly. I could say the gunplay or the movement is good, and that is true, but like, that's to be expected. That's the main gimmick of the game, is the movement and the gunplay or whatever. That's literally what makes Call of Duty Call of Duty. So that's to be expected. While that is good, and I'll give Treyarch, like, you know, their flowers here, like, the moving and shooting part of the game is phenomenal. It really is. I mean, I'm still not a huge fan of Omni movement, and again, I've talked about why. It's a little janky still feels a little weird and slippy, and I do things I don't mean to do sometimes. But regardless, like, that could be improved over time as I get used to it, or with some future patches like they did from the beta to the full game. I simply cannot deal with these maps. These maps are not changing. Like, these maps are not changing. This is one of the worst maps I've ever played on, by the way. It is literally a bowl. There are no flanks. It is a bowl. It is a bowl where you head glitch, and if you can manage to get to the enemy team spawn on their home flag with another player, you can probably spawn kill until they throw a frag at you. But again, man, if you're facing a full team, and I ran into them a lot today, if you're facing a full team and they spawn trap you in Dom, there is nothing you can do. This is the spawn trap fucking game, man. We end up losing. I don't play the objective. I do not give a fuck. I am there just to get kills. So, yeah, whatever, dude. The casual players need to think they are LeBron fucking James on the basketball court, even though they're 5'6", playing kids in wheelchairs at the local rec center. You know what I mean? Like, this game aims to literally gaslight you. This game will gaslight good players. This game will gaslight good players and make them think they're shit. Again, I had to go play X Defiant after this. And I'm like, this cannot be like my skill in the past 2 weeks since I've taken a break from FPS. I go back to X Defiant and I top frag every fucking game because I've put in the time. You know, when I first started playing X Defiant, I hadn't played FPS in like 8 months, very rusty, and I just saw myself gradually improving, and that's something I simply don't experience in Call of Duty anymore. I need to see that gradual improvement. The more time I put in, the better I should perform if I am doing the right things and I am learning and I am getting better. That is not how Call of Duty works, guys. Maybe this is your first COD back in a while. Maybe you're new to the franchise. Maybe you're checking it out on Game Pass. I have an entire video, which I will link at the end of this one, explaining how disgusting the skill-based matchmaking, engagement-optimized matchmaking algorithm is. It is essentially fooling you, tricking you into thinking you are better than you are, so you spend money in the store. It's actually not there for engagement purposes, especially if you're doing well. I mean, most good players end up quitting Call of Duty. It's not there for engagement. Hell, I can show you the Steam charts for Call of Duty. We hit the lowest we have ever hit with Modern Warfare 3 this past year. And this is with Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2, and I believe Warzone all in one client, because it's counting Call of Duty HQ as a whole. We hit like 55,000 average players a day, which is pretty fucking bad for Call of Duty, if I'm being honest. People were talking about X-Defiant dying these past few months. Call of Duty, I mean, from what I'm seeing on Steam, that's the game that's dying. You know, like Black Ops 6 brings it back, of course, but for how long? I can't be the only one that thinks this is just insane. Like, skill-based matchmaking, again, I talked to my buddy about it, and he confirmed to me, like, it's being made more strict. They are fine-tuning it every single year. They're doubling down on it, and they're making sure this year little Timmy is not going to get put into lobbies with people better than him. It's just not going to happen. And to double down on it, little Timmy does not need to think. The maps were made bad in conjunction with this skill-based matchmaking system. Again, man, it's a bit of a trust me bro moment, but tell me it does not make perfect sense. A lot of things with Call of Duty are speculation. I am 100% certain this was done on purpose based on the data of the shrinking player base that Modern Warfare 3 gave us. You guys saw the Steam charts? I mean, what else do you want to know? You know, like, what else do you want to know? The game's not doing well, but people love playing Shipment. Let's make every map play like Shipment, essentially. Let's make every map play like Nuketown, essentially. But the problem is that when you do that, what about all the people that are going to quit the game anyway? If people are playing those small maps, but a ton of people are quitting the game, why not try to appease the people quitting the game and not the mouth breathers playing the small maps constantly? And I said this in the last video, but they are going to use this to sell you the next Call of Duty. Mark my fucking words. They're going to try to sell you better maps on the next iteration. They are never going to give you a game that's so good you do not buy the next one. Let's assume that Black Ops 6 next week, the devs are like, hey guys, we're deleting every map in this game and we're replacing it with like Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1 maps, the best of those two games. We're going to give you the best maps from those two games on Black Ops 6 here. Even if they do that, the game dies in 11 months. 11 months from now, the game is dead and the next one is out. I saw Modern Warfare 3 go from Infinity Ward's cancer-ass DLC to one of the best Call of Duties in the past 5 years. I saw a dev team that I did not like or respect gain my admiration and respect in Sledgehammer Games. They did work this year. I don't play Modern Warfare 3, and that's not because of them. That's because of all the stuff going on behind the scenes with the skill-based matchmaking, the fact that the game is dead in like 4 months. By the time the game actually is really hitting its stride, it's dead in a couple of months. Collectively, can we just stop? I know it's like talking to a brick wall. Can we just fucking stop buying Call of Duty for 1 year? I'm guilty of this too. Trust me, I am guilty of this too. But look, X-Defiant, man, whatever you want to think about it, it's dying, it's crappy, it's whatever. I'll even say that this past month with Season 2, they dropped the ball and the game plays like crap, or it did play like crap up until like a week ago. They ended up killing off the footstep audio, and not just that, but like the gun sound audio. They messed both of those things up, which in a game like this, which is not, it doesn't really play like Call of Duty. It might look like it, but it does not. Plays more like Halo, if anything, as far as like the fact that the TTK is a bit higher and you need that information from the footsteps. Without footstep sounds or gun sounds giving you direction, then engagements are just random and people actually camp more. It's weird. The kill trading's still a problem. That's going to be fixed hopefully in the next couple days on the next patch. And the frame rate and aim assist are having some wonky issues as well, some inconsistencies. So overall, the game doesn't play that well right now. It really doesn't. But I will say this, man. I can still find matches after Black Ops 6 has come out. And truth be told, man, that's all I ask for. These maps, this map quality, this matchmaking quality, it is night and day. Again, I got this match right after my Black Ops 6 session. Hopped on, played, top fragged every game. Easy. Dude, night and fucking day. Black Ops 6 maps makes you appreciate every other game's map pool. I'll tell you that much. I'm out of time, guys. Sorry, this is a little long, a little rambly, but too long didn't read. The maps were made bad in conjunction with skill-based matchmaking ramping up this year. It's by design, and it's not really going to change with the seasons, I would imagine. I'll see you guys.
Yo guys, what's going on? It's Ace